Breaking inputs coming in. U.S. President Donald Trump has urged NATO allies to take some tough action against Russia. He's even proposed 50 to 100% tariffs on China until Russia-Ukraine war ends. In fact, in a long post on Truth Social, Donald Trump has mentioned that Washington was prepared to put more sanctions on Russia, but only if its European partners halted purchases of Russian oil and joined him in the coordinated action. That's the latest update coming in. Let's go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary joining us on the broadcast. More on this. Srinjoy, good evening. So there are two important points here. One, he's urging NATO allies to take some tough action against Russia. And second, he's also spoken of something like 50 to 100% tariffs on China. How do we interpret this? Srinjoy, can you hear me? Okay, we'll quickly try and reconnect with Srinjoy in just a bit. But this is the big news, viewers, that we are getting for you at this point in time. U.S. President Donald Trump, in fact, has written to NATO nations. He has urged NATO allies to take some tough action against Russia. He's also proposed a 50 to 100% tariffs on China until Russia-Ukraine war ends. He's in fact put out a long post on Truth Social, and he has said, and I'm quoting him, "I'm ready to do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations have agreed and started to do the same thing, and when all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia." As you know, NATO's commitment to win has been far less than 100%, and the purchase of Russian oil by some has been shocking. Let's go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who is joining us live right now. Srinjoy, so these are two important points that we can see in this post by U.S. President Donald Trump. One, what he has asked the NATO allies to do, and second, the way he's spoken of, a possibility of having 50 to 100% tariffs on China. How should we read this?
As far as Russia is concerned, just a few weeks ago, President Putin was in Alaska, let's not forget. So that is Donald Trump for you. But this is an important moment in this Russia-Ukraine war. But Europe has to reduce its consumption of Russian oil and, more importantly, natural gas. Will Europe be able to do that just before winter? That's a question. The ball is basically in Europe's court on that one. As far as China is concerned, well, this is something India has been talking about. You're saying that if there is 50% tariff on India because we buy Russian oil. Then what about China? Now, President Trump seems to be aware of that finally, and he's talking about a 50 to 100% tariff on China. But China is the world's largest exporter. America is the world's largest importer. Now, if that happens and $450 billion worth of goods are coming into America from China every year, there is a possibility of serious inflation. President Trump would have taken up all these issues, spoken with his staff, and arrived at a decision. Now, if there is actually 100% tariff on all Chinese goods coming into America, it's definitely going to cause inflation in the long run, and we will have to see how that works out. This is a particularly important moment, but we must see how this works out in the long run.
Well, absolutely, but according to U.S. President Donald Trump, Srinjoy, what he's suggesting is perhaps the only way to end the war in Russia and Ukraine between both of them. He's in fact also mentioned that if NATO does, as I say, the war will end quickly and all of those lives will be saved. If not, you're just wasting my time and the time, energy and money of the United States of America. So we'll see what happens next here. For now, Srinjoy, thank you very much for your inputs on this.